Hey guys, you know what time it is. It's what? It's Crossing the Lines with Johnny and Zeta. You know that's right. Hey Zeta, what's going on?
Hey, Johnny, how are you?
I'm fine. You say hello to me like you just met me yesterday. Um, I mean, it was for the,
I'm
we don't
just
even put the call
polite.
on. Yeah, p- polite with a hint of strange. Yeah, okay. Zeta has a topic that she really was it was near and dear to her heart today. She texted me and man was she pissed the fuck off. And she said that we were going to do another topic, and she said, no, we're doing this one. You know, because that's how independent women do. They just tell you what they're going to do, and us men have to follow it. So, with that being said, Zena, take us away.
So today I had an epiphany. Actually, this is a topic that I thought about, like in my personal life. It's crossed my mind many times. And today, it was just like now I get why people don't do this. So I want to talk about investing in your community and how, many of us we're taught to get our education, get good jobs, give our families a better life than what we had. And sometimes that means moving away from the communities that you were born and raised in, right? And, I've always had mixed feelings about that. Like, I talk a lot, about my son and me wanting him to be in a good environment, but I also don't want him to be in a place where there isn't lots of diversity. Like I want him to be, in a diverse community. I don't want him to be the token Spanish person or the token kid of color, right? So, we're in a stage in our lives right now where we're deciding what's our next step. Where do we move to? Do we stay in New York? Do we go out to Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, whatever?
Atlanta.
And Atlanta. But, I kind of like secretly a proponent of investing in your communities. And by that, I mean, I don't always think that like just because you gain the means to move on, that you move away from your community, because I think that's where, the communities, they lose their values, right? Because people move away. So I've always been like, you know what, we should invest in our community. We should maybe consider purchasing a home here and consider, building our lives here. And today, on the school playground, I witnessed two women about to have an altercation.
It's your son's private school, though.
And this is the thing, right? So I'm like, I'm in the. Let me tell you, I never take my son to school. I shouldn't say never, but
Wow.
most
Okay.
days,
That's honest.
most days, I just like most days his dad takes him to school, right? So this morning, Carlos had to take his parents to the airport, so I stayed back a little later to take him to school. So I take him to school, and I'm kind of like, I'm like overprotective mom. I'm standing there making sure everything is good or whatever. And as I'm about to, so I had walked away, and as I'm about to walk away, I kind of like turned back around just to make sure, like, cause, like he was going inside, he was with his class, whatever. And I see two women swinging at each other. And then one was like much taller than the other one. So then the smaller one kind of like ran away. She was like, "Oh, I'll be back, like screaming, like, "I'll be back, I'll be back." And I was literally floored. Now, people might think, like, why are you surprised? You live in the Bronx, right? Like,
right, yeah.
like, what's the big deal? But this is private school, right? This is like, I'm thinking the majority of people pay to send their kids here. I know I paid to send my kid here.
Only one. They got you.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people get like assistance or whatever, but there's, there's money in the Bronx, and people don't realize that. Walk around the Bronx, come to the Bronx. You're going to see plenty of BMWs, plenty of Mercedes Benzes. There's money here. The difference is that people, I feel like some people choose to use their money differently than other people, right? Like, obviously, like, there's people in the Bronx that make just as much money as people who live out in other areas. But they stay here because this is what they know, right? A lot of people are very hesitant to move to different neighborhoods because this is all they know, which is fine. But if this is all you know, then make it a good community. Like, you have the opportunity where other people don't to kind of help the community rise above, its current state. Like, you're putting your kid in a private school because that says to me that you want better for your child. But how can you say you want better for your child if you're willing to literally have a fist fight with another person right in front of them?
This is called world of the classes. Okay? Let me tell you why.
I was about to break it down to me.
You can invest in your community, not just the one that you're in. You need to go ahead and invest in the community that you want to live in. Okay? So, what do I mean by that? It comes out even to gentrification, right? People always cry about gentrification. Oh my God, it's so messed up. People are gentrified. Like, all these white people are coming in. Well, we had it for 30, 40 years, and we did nothing with it but open a fucking bodega, and we invested nothing into our community.
But this is my exact point. This is
how
you stop.
But no, it doesn't, because it's the way of their thinking. That type
but this
of
is how you
class
stop
person
gentrification, though. This is how you stop gentrification. You take control of your community.
It's already been gentrified. That's what people don't understand. When you just have an all-black community, it wasn't always an all-black community at one point. It probably was an all-white community, and black people more than. That's gentrification. All Puerto Rican neighborhood. Puerto Rican came from somewhere. I think Puerto Rico. And that's also gentrification. And that, right? So what happens is that you do have a mix of classes within the same race, within the same culture. That's in every culture, every race, right? So people like yourself who are doing well, educated, brilliant, independent, Hispanic, Puerto Rican women. And then you have women that are willing to fight at the private schoolyard, right? That has probably no ambition to do much, right? Do you really want to invest in that community into those people? Because what are they going to give back? Then they become bloodsuckers. Do you not agree to that?
No, I don't agree completely to that, because for one, there are a lot of, we don't live in a day and age, and back in the 80s where everybody was like living off of welfare. Like, most people in my neighborhood are working people. So
Okay.
most people that I come across in my community and my schoolyard are working people. And if these mothers aren't working, it's because they're home because they can afford to be home. And I'm not saying, listen, I live in the Bronx. I don't live in an affluent neighborhood, obviously, but it's a pretty decent neighborhood. It's a decent enough neighborhood that when I think about my future and where I want my son to grow up, a lot of times I do think about staying in the neighborhood, again, to the point that I was saying, because I'm not sure if I want him to be, the token Spanish kid, the token kid of color in his school. So it frustrates me when these are people who, after they're done fighting, they jump into their BMWs, they jump into their Acuras, they jump into their Mercedes Benzes. So these are people who have some type of money. They have.
Do they? Or they just living paycheck to paycheck with a nice car? People try to stunt all the time. So that doesn't mean
that's valid, because we know living in New York City, there are plenty of BMWs sitting outside in parking lots and projects. I
live in the projects, and I would have fucking Lexus or Acura or whatever, and yeah.
I guess my point, and maybe I'm not articulating my point, I guess my point is that it's really, really sad to me that when I think about the next step in my life with my family, that I have to take my family and take myself and my son out of the environment that he's used to, especially in my personal case. I have a very huge support system where I'm at. That, my sister lives near me, my mom, we all live on the same street. My sister, my mom, we all live on the same street. We all help each other out. We all look out for each other's kids. So it saddens me that I have to take my son out of the environment that the only environment that he knows that he's comfortable in, because the people around us don't grow. And then to your point, then people want to cry about gentrification. Well, that's what happens. You don't invest in your community. The communities turn to shit. And then other people are given incentive to come into your community and take what you couldn't take care of.
Absolutely. And what's wrong with that? Again, it's a class of people, unfortunately. And then people cry about not having opportunity, or the white man's against them. It's a whole slew of things, right? And I can't fuck with that. Like, you gotta pick yourself up. You gotta do what you gotta do. And if you want to participate in having a great community, then you have to put your values into that as well. If you want to destroy that, then that's when you allow your kids to write on the wall. That's when you're having fights in schoolyards, because you can't hold yourself to be an adult. Now, if you're doing self-defense, that's totally different. But I'm sure they weren't self-defense. I'm sure something went down.
What could have possibly happened? What could have possibly happened in the schoolyard this morning? Somebody stepped on somebody's toe. Like, what could have possibly happened to make two grown adult women want to fight each other?
A man. Either a man or their kids were bullying each other, or one was getting bullied. There's those two options, guaranteed. It's either a man or their kids had an engagement. And so those two ladies or women decided to engage themselves. It's really that. It comes down to that's what the stupid a lot of times. So no one knows how to talk anymore. So the community you're talking about you want to invest in, is not necessarily the community you grew up in. You don't see Jay-Z going back to Marshall Projects. Why would he? So he's not going to find people that are going to be as hungry or driven as him. You're going to find a lot of people wanting a handout. Now, no doubt, will there be some people to strive and come out of that? Obviously, he was one of them. Obviously, we were, a couple of other people that got out of the hood, right? But it's not that many. And you can't go save everybody. So what do? You put yourself in a community that you know is going to have the same values and the same wealth that you do. Not necessarily in monetarily views, but the same core values that you know. That's a community you have to look for. That's what you want to invest in. You can't be Mr. Merrill's block and try to fight everybody with a bat. Try to make it look like it's Charles Bronson. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen. No one's going to be on your side unless the whole community is really fed up with it, and then they decide as a whole unit to change it around when people take investment into their own homes. That's what it comes down to first. Once you start investing in your own home and you own something, the block will look different. But when you have a block of people just renting shit, no one gives a fuck. And don't be wrong, you do have people who have their own homes that don't give a fuck either.
Yes, we do, and that is such a valid point, because that's another thing that frustrates me. You know, a lot of people, especially in inner city neighborhoods, it takes a lot to purchase a home, right? You gotta get yourself a down payment. You gotta work hard. You know, it's not easy to purchase a home. I purchased a couple homes. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
And then you purchase a home and you don't take care of it. You don't consider your neighbors, right? Because not everyone is a douche like you, and most people want to take care of their property. But what you do, you come in and you lower the property value of the people around you, because you don't have any pride in ownership.
Listen, there's always that one house in the block that's nice, has a nice fence that you see they spend money on it, and the rest of the block is like shit. So is that case. You know what I'm saying? And why is that? So everyone's taking heed and saying, you know what, I want to fix up my home. They don't, to your point. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you have to understand, you know what, this is not my community. These are not the people I want around me or my son to grow up with. And that's what people have to understand. The sense of community is not so much about your race or your culture you come from. Even though that does play a part, if you do feel like at home and stuff like that with certain cultures, of course, I get that. But you do outgrow that. And if you ever want that, you can always go back and get your spoonful and then go back to your community that you really want to be in. But you can't have both.
It's just frustrating, like, why do our communities have to be the communities that aren't thriving, right? Like we said earlier, a lot of people now are making money. A lot of people, you know, are doing way better than they did many years ago. You know, the salaries are higher, more women are working. There's more, you know, double income families now, right? There's more both man and women are working, or you're part of both couples are working.
We don't take enough chance. We don't take entrepreneurship seriously.
It's not even about entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
Let's take the average hardworking person.
Why not having? Because that's what it is. When gentrification happens, you have someone who wants to open up a restaurant, someone who wants to open up a bakery, and they take a chance. That's entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, how come that doesn't happen in neighborhood outside of the fucking bodega? How come Linda or Miriam can't open up a fucking cleaners? You know, how come Jose can't go get, you know, become a baker and open up a bakery in the same block in the neighborhood? That's what we need. That's what's going to change the neighborhood. Because that's what's coming into the neighborhood. Those ideas, those small entrepreneurs or small business owners, that's what changes the neighborhood. That's what people want to go and be around at that point. What we do is we sit on an empty milk crate in front of a bodega that has plastered a bunch of beer stickers all over the window, right? Or half-naked women all over the window, and you go in there and you move the cat from the top of the loaf of bread.
But see, this is the part that I'm frustrated about. That's not my neighborhood. I'm not, again, I live in the Bronx, so I'm not saying I live in the best neighborhood in the world. But the neighborhood that I live in is not that neighborhood. It's working people. It's, you know, there's like the one bodega. It's like, I don't know, 4 blocks
it's from here. It's working people that don't have a sense of community, though. It's working people who are not working together to keep community there at that space or making it grow bigger. It's a job in itself. That means if you throw a block party, everyone needs to participate. Just everyone really participating to make that the way you want it to make it look or feel. And what are you doing to make it feel that way? Are you calling a block meeting? Say, hey, let's take over our block. Let's make it like this. These are my ideas. What you got? I got to challenge you on that. You know what I'm saying? If you're saying your block isn't the normal block, then what is it?
Well, you know, for me, I'm not a homeowner on this block, so I don't have a whole lot to say to the other, you know, to the actual homeowners on this block. For me, it comes down to when making a decision as to where, you know, I'm going to plant roots for my son. You know, we kick around the idea of staying where we're at. You know, we say, oh, if we move, you know, a little further this way, you know, that's pretty nice over there, and the houses are bigger, and, you know, it's a nicer area. And we kick around the idea of staying where we're at, so that we're pumping money into our neighborhoods, into our communities, so that we can help, you know, our schools grow and have, you know, better programs. But I realize today that there's so many people who just don't give a fuck about that. Like, they just...
No. Because their investment morally or their values aren't there. They're just going to be in a nice neighborhood to say they live in a nice neighborhood because they make enough money. You're going to have some of those, right? But I do have to probably go back a little bit to what you said. You know, if you don't own where you rent, you still have a lot of say. You're still choosing to be in a neighborhood. You're still choosing to live in a space that you feel like it's a good quality of life. And you can try to contribute to that, whether you're a homeowner or a renter, right? So I wouldn't count yourself out like that, you know what I'm saying? But you have to really understand the fact that is your neighborhood losing its grip? Has it already lost it? Or is it holding on tight? And you have to figure out which one of the three it is. And if it's just holding on tight, it's about to lose its grip. You know what I'm saying? If it's losing its grip, that means that, you know, people are coming in that don't contribute to the neighborhood. And if the grip is already lost, it's time for you to move out.
Well, and you have a point there, because that's absolutely true. Like, I've only been in this neighborhood a couple of years now, and there are a few people in the neighborhood who have been here a very, very long time. There's like a lot of elderly people on this block, and they've been here, you know, like 30, 40 years. And, you know, a lot of them tell me, like, this neighborhood is not what it used to be. Like, it used to be a really good neighborhood. Like, we have a lot of, like, retired nurses, and there's, like, a dentist on the block, and so, because there's a couple hospitals nearby. So, 30, 40 years ago, I guess a lot of the hospital workers lived in this particular neighborhood.
Sure.
So some of them are still here, but a lot of them, have moved out. And it's to your point, because the neighborhood isn't getting better, or it's not even staying the way it was. It's just, it is on a bit of a decline. But it's exactly why I'm like, now I understand why people don't continue to invest in the neighborhood. Now I understand why, people make it to a certain status or make a certain salary and decide now it's time for me, to move to Westchester County or to move to Connecticut, because it's almost not worth it when you're kind of swimming against the grain, right? You're swimming upstream because you're trying to improve your neighborhood, or you're trying to improve your community, and people are not receptive to that.
No, and so let me get people to understand. When you try to insert justification, it's not that easy. Okay, this doesn't happen overnight. It's a trickle effect. You know what I'm saying? And that business owner that does open up that bakery or that freaking microbrewery, they already had that going on somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Now they're taking that big step and finally getting an actual location instead of making the beer in the garage. You know what I'm saying? And they're taking a chance. Just for having to take a chance in your neighborhood. Is the neighborhood changing? Yes. Or you can help them be accepted and show them the culture of the neighborhood that exists to keep it going. But again, people cannot work together. Well, people are so caught up in their busy lives, doing whatever they're busy about, instead of really taking a step back and saying, when I walk around here on a Sunday afternoon or Saturday morning, I want to be able to smell the fresh bread. I want to be able to see the beer garden, people going in and eat because it has some good wings. Like, you want that, and you want it to be local. You don't want to go to the city. You don't want to go drive 25 minutes away. You want it to be like around the block, down the street. But then you can't because people fuck shit up, right? And this is where you have to understand, again, like I said, is this truly your community that you want to invest in? Because your community could look very differently depending where you decide to move and when you see a value of.
Sometimes I hear people say stuff like, oh no, this is I'm not talking about my neighborhood specifically, but people will say stuff like, oh, you should go live over there. That's a really nice neighborhood. There's a lot of white people. Or, you should, there used to be a lot of Italians in that neighborhood, but now, there's more Jamaicans, so maybe you don't want to live over there. And that upsets me. It upsets me because, I'm not I wasn't raised to be racist, and I believe that everybody can be successful and everybody, can live a good life. And I don't look at people and say because they're of a certain race that they can't achieve certain things,
Absolutely.
So it upsets me sometimes when people are like, oh, this is really good because there's a lot of white people here. Listen, I have a lot of white friends as well as I have a lot of black friends and Spanish friends. I have a lot of friends, and I wanted to be like, those neighborhoods that are not white, those are good neighborhoods too. Like, for example, when I lived in Atlanta, I lived in a predominantly black neighborhood. It was a nice neighborhood, right?
Yeah. See, that's where you have to come into play and understand your values and your sense of community. And forget about everyone else's sense of deciding where they're going to live at or how they're going to rate a community based off what race is there. Because to your point, I live in Atlanta. I live in a predominantly black neighborhood. And I wouldn't have it no other way, actually. I feel more comfortable around black people than I do with white people. White people scare the shit out of me.
Oh my God! Again, you always something inappropriate.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I actually sort those things out when I'm going to buy a home. I'm going to be like, yo, I'm looking for this. I want the neighborhood to be this. No doubt, I do want some diversity in there, but I don't want just all of one group. That's not diversity, right? I'm not going to really teach my kids much. You know what I'm saying? Or myself. And I want to show my kids how to be accepting of other cultures. So that's where you have to look and see what truly is your community in your head and find that outwardly. It's not where you actually live at sometimes, or most of the time, to be honest with you. Like I had to actually go to a different state to find a way of life and living in the neighborhood I was looking for. You know what I'm saying? To have that sense of community. You might have to do the same thing and realize at what stage your community is in, and you go on. And forget your friends that telling you this place is white, this one Jamaican's gonna do it. Fuck that. I want to fucking beef patty cocoa bread. I'll be over there in the quickness. Hand me some oxtails, please. You know what I'm saying? Like, serve up a plate, please. Like, and that's just look at all those Jamaican dentists and doctors. Don't make them any better people, though. This is not get that twisted either. You can still have an asshole neighbor that's rich and shit, and then you have this type of cold neighborhood with a lot of nice houses, but everyone doesn't engage with nobody. That's where people miss the point. What's a good neighborhood? That you can actually say, John lives 3 doors down. His wife's name is Sarah. They got 2 kids. You know what I'm saying? Then you have Miriam. She's up the block. Her husband, you know, freaking John, he's a mechanic, but they're really good people. That's when you know you live in a community where people know each other. You know what I'm saying? Do those days exist anymore? Not much. It's very seldom now. People really don't engage like that no more. Like there are neighborhoods still like that. If I can find it, you gotta find it. Well, if not, if you really want to convert your neighborhood back to that, it's gonna take some work. It's gonna take some block parties. It's gonna take some trading of recipes. And if you see your neighbor struggling with some bags, get the fuck up your porch and help them. You know what I'm saying? Those things get remembered. Those things build your community. Don't laugh at the old dude struggling with his bags and his bag breaks and breaks it down. Nobody hits the stoop like cracking up. That will bring down the fucking community. You know what I'm saying?
I don't understand why is it so hard for us as minorities to do that in our communities. When you go outside of your own communities and you go, you know, out to the burbs and these communities that are, you know, quote unquote predominantly white, there's more of a unification, right, in those communities. People, you know, do look out for each other. Those are the communities where your neighbor will give you a phone call and say, hey, you know, I know that you usually don't leave your living room light on at this time, and, you know, your living room light is on. I just want to be sure that everything is okay, right? And
yeah, but that does happen. You have to find it, though. You know, that may happen the block over from you, and you just don't know it. That block may be tied in your block. You know what I'm saying?
I just feel like it doesn't happen in our communities. It doesn't happen in the communities that we currently live in. And instead of people trying to, you know, get together, what they do is kind of just, you know, create these divisions amongst one another instead of getting a hold of your community and improving it by displaying those actions this morning. It's disgusting. It's just disgusting. I walked away from there like, this is not where I want to live. This is not where I want to send my kids to school. I called the principal. And then what was more disturbing is nobody saw it. Like, it was like it didn't even happen. Like, I made it up in my head. Like, it was like a vision that I had this morning. Because, you know, the principal, she stands outside and she didn't see it. And I called her this morning. She was like, oh, you should have, like, called me over. And I was like, actually, my first instinct was just to walk over to my child because I didn't know where that was going to go. Like, they could have fallen on top of all the kids there, you know?
And that's what I'm putting in, common values. Those people don't have the common values that you're looking for. You got to have to find other folks that have that common value. You know what I'm saying? And that was for anybody looking out there for to further their family, whether you're brand new having a family of your own or you already have an existing family that's already grown and you need to move again. That's important. I think I'm looking for my next house. I'm looking for an established neighborhood. Sometimes going into a new neighborhood is not good. You know what I'm saying? Like, and sometimes it is good because then if it's new, you can try to start something and try to keep it going. But then you also may look at an established neighborhood and say, no, these people have been here. They know the neighborhood, know each other. You may get that knock on the door saying, no, hello, here's some pie. And that happens in the South a lot, actually. You know what I'm saying? But it comes down again to class of people and not necessarily your own people. Like, do I see the next generation, you know, our children being more friendly, definitely. Because my kids ain't growing up the way I grew up in the projects. They don't know nothing about the projects. You know what I'm saying? And they're very helpful kids. They volunteer and everything. They've been volunteers since they were 12, very young. And it's showing them about showing, friendliness and being human to another human and showing respect. And that's what we're missing. Children does that. Once you engage your kids to being a volunteer, that comes back into the community. Because then your kid's going to be a stand-up person in the community. You know what I'm saying? And they have the same shared core values as you do. But you're going to have to find your neighborhood. You're going to have to find your people. And your people may not be your people, if you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be more of a common value type of sharing. There's going to be more of your people. It's a struggle. It's hard. No neighborhood's going to have 100% of anything. And that's where you're going to have to really do your checks and balances and pros and cons and say, well, this is the best I can get. This is the closest I'm looking for. The feel feels good. Your gut feeling is right. Let's do it. But it may change in 5 years. It's like that's something you really have to come to terms with and look at. And understand that, unfortunately, people on this planet, man, there's 7 billion people on this planet, and some of them should have not made it. The two that were fighting at school probably shouldn't have not been here. Guaranteed. But since, this modern medicine, people live longer, they're here. You ever seen the movie 300 when the baby doesn't look right and they throw it off the cliff?
No, I don't remember that part, but...
Yeah, in the beginning of the movie 300, they inspect the babies and they don't look perfect. They actually throw the baby off the cliff. There's a bunch of babies on the bottom of the cliff. Oh my God, and that may have to happen if we go to 8-9 billion people. You know what I'm saying? So I think as far as community, you got to make it the way it is, the way you want it to be. But you have to find participating parties who share the same values as you do to create that. Because you know what? It's funny that Hollywood gives you this kind of perception of what a small town should feel like. Everybody knows each other. You don't find small towns like that no more. You know what I'm saying? Because people tend to keep to themselves now. But they want to. It's funny how in the neighborhoods, no one knows each other, and they want to keep the information private. But then on social media, they're blasting themselves all over the place. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, but you won't even exactly go next door and introduce yourself to your own neighbor.
Yeah, but you're willing to just follow someone you don't know. So that's where the reversal has to happen. And maybe you do that. Maybe you make an event there. Maybe you say, this is going to be no phone day, no electronic day. Come meet your neighbor. Let's have conversation. Let's be weird to have conversation. Make fun of it. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to go over to, because one of the women walked away and then the other one stayed there. And I wanted to go over to her and be like, what happened? What caused the two of you to literally really want to start pounding on each other? Thank God one of them was way bigger than the other. So the smaller one kind of backed up, and she was she probably thought there's no way I'm going to be able to take this girl.
Right.
So she backed up and she ran off. But had she not ran off, that bigger woman, and she was just taller than her. She was twice her size. That bigger woman could have really hurt her, and those kids would have been witness to they would have seen this lady bleeding and that's what I'm they didn't think about that before they decided they were gonna hit each other, right? They didn't think about their own children.
To fight was stronger at that moment than their common sense of not to fight. Hey, this kid's here. I'm at a private fucking schoolyard. Let's talk this out. Their first instinct was, I'm sure they were cursing each other out before the blow was happening. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, I was like, you know what? You want to test me? Let's go physical with it. People are hot-headed. People's tempers are short. And when you live in a big city, it's probably 10 times worse. Because it's all about, pounding your chest. I'm the bigger person. Obviously, this person is really big. But you get tested, you can't be weak, right? But that's unfortunate. It's part of our culture. Right? You got to fight back instead of using your words and your knowledge and try that fusion situation. It comes down to a lot of stuff like that. And unfortunately, when you live in a big city like you live in, you're gonna see that more often than not. People always testing each other. No, that's not how it is. You can't look at each other on a damn train. Everyone got their head down. You can't make eye contact.
It's so bad. Everybody's like always so angry, you know?
Yeah.
You know, this morning, someone said to me, "Oh, but it's Monday morning." I was telling somebody the story, and they said to me, "Oh, you know, but it's Monday morning, and how people are Monday morning, like crazy. They're stressed out, trying to get to work."
Isn't that funny? That person just validated why they were fighting. That person just said, "Yo."
Yeah, they gave them a reason. Like,
yeah,
no,
it's Monday.
It's not okay.
So I think next Monday, I'm gonna punch my coworker around the fucking face and say, "What happened? Oh, it's Monday, my man.
It's Monday.
You get punched in the face every Monday, bro. Don't act brand new." You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to like keep beating a dead horse, but it really just got me thinking. I guess because for me, I'm like at a pivotal point in my life where we're like, okay, what is our next move? You know, where are we going to invest? And like I said earlier, the topic has come up of, you know, maybe, you know, we're comfortable where we're at, we're happy here, and maybe, you know, instead of like moving out to, you know, out of state or wherever, we could be perfectly fine here. And then you see something like that happen and you say to yourself, this is why people leave the neighborhood. This is why people move on, you know, to other neighborhoods, because it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're still going to have people around you who can be doing just as well as you, but just will behave in a totally different way, or will react to things in a totally different way than you. Absolutely. And that could happen anywhere, right? That could happen in the best of neighborhoods, but you just kind of see it more in the inner city neighborhoods, right? You see more, like to your point, more of the hot-headedness and, you know, people just kind of angry all the time. And, you know, me and my house, we're like happy people. Like, we wake up in the morning happy, you know, like we talk in the morning. You know, a lot of families like,
my God, yeah, what's wrong with you? You know, like, I'm farting today.
So when we get to school, we're not like in a bad mood or anything, right? We're like talking to everyone. So I think like, what made you so upset this morning that this is the way you reacted? Like, there's nothing. And listen, I used to be a very hot-headed person. Anybody who really knows me knows it. I used to be very hot-headed. I used to fly off at the mouth and like whatever. But I just feel like, you know, I have a kid now and I'm older, and I realize that you can't stress yourself out about all types of things. And there's nothing I feel, you know, I guess unless my life is being threatened, then maybe that was the situation, but there's nothing that's going to make me want to like fist fight somebody in the school play yard. Like, maybe we go outside the school play yard, but why we got to do it right in the school play yard?
It all depends where you're at in your life at the moment. You know what I'm saying? It really does. You know, you're doing well, and you know, bills are paid, and you're happy. Yeah, you can fucking smile and talk to your spouse. When you're struggling and bills can't be paid, yeah, that stress is taken outside and to be taken out of the next person. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that can lead to that. But I think, you know, going back to your community here, you have to figure out what you want to do. If you want to try to build something like that, it's very honorable. Or do you do what most people do? Is everybody find a community already built like that, and you go move into it. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna take time and effort, and you need a bakery in your block. Get a bakery in your block, and you'll be alright. Everybody loves sweets.
Everybody loves the cupcake.
Yeah, everybody loves a nice warm croissant, nice hot bagel with butter. You know what I'm saying?
We actually have an amazing bakery like 3 blocks from here, to be honest.
That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? But you need to see more of that. You need to see more small business. You need to see more people watering flowers instead of just, you know, looking at dead plants in the dirt, you know, whatever grass they don't have. It's about people investing in the community. Everyone's picking up their own trash. And when someone does do some shit, putting them on blast. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have to respect your neighborhood when they see, like, oh, shit, like, I shouldn't throw my gum wrapper on the floor right now. Like, think someone's watching me. You know what I'm saying? Like, people should walk into your neighborhood feeling that way. And if they don't, that means because the people who live there don't give a fuck either. That's what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? I had a neighbor, his mowing her lawn, and I had parked my car right on the street from the driveway. And she says, "Hey, I'm gonna mow my lawn." And I thought, "Bitch, mow it." So you told me before. But she didn't want the rocks to get kicked up and hit my car. That's being a fucking neighbor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, "No doubt, I got you." You know what I'm saying? And I said, "I appreciate it. You know, we should be fine though." You know, and I'm with the car anyway. And that's what you do.
See, that's what doesn't happen in the inner city. That's what doesn't happen in the Bronx, right? So I have a total opposite story. So a few years back, there was like this a heavy snowstorm, or if I remember correctly, it was like a series of snowstorms. Like it was like snowing like every weekend, and it wasn't even enough time for the snow to melt before there was another snowstorm. So there was like this. We had already had snow on the ground, and then there was like another huge snowstorm, and our driveway was completely blocked. Right, so at the time, you remember the house that I had. Remember they had like that really steep driveway.
Yep.
So it had like this steep driveway, and so we wouldn't park the cars in the driveway whenever it snowed because it would get icy, and then it could then we wouldn't be able to get it out because it had like a 45-degree angle, right? So we get home one day, and there's a car blocking our driveway. Now, we weren't going to go into the driveway, and anybody who saw it knew that we probably weren't going to park in the driveway because it had like massive amount of snow on it. It probably had like 5 or 6 inches of snow on it. So we weren't going to park in the driveway. But the point is that it is still my driveway, and you should not be blocking my driveway.
Right, it's not a parking spot.
Exactly.
There's no curb.
Exactly. So anyway, we found parking someplace else, and it was like, whatever. Like, I get it. Like, there's tons of snow on the ground, and parking is really hard, right? So whatever. So we went inside. Next morning, the car's still there, right? So we leave for school, work, whatever, and we get back, and the car's still there. So now I'm like, this is ridiculous. You've been parked here like almost 2 nights now, right? Like, it's time to move your car. So I start like knocking on my neighbors' doors and like, does anybody know whose car this is? And I find out like it's the guy's car in the corner. So I ask him like, can you please move your car from in front of my house? And he just got like really angry and was like, well, where the hell do you want me to park it? There's all this snow outside. There's no parking. And I'm like, listen, I get that, but that's my driveway. And he's like, yeah, but it's snowing. I'm like, it doesn't matter. That's my driveway. Like, I own that property, and you cannot park in front of my property in the driveway. My point being, like, that wouldn't happen anywhere else. Like, no one would just randomly park in front of your house, and then when you ask them to move, refuse to move. Right?
Right. Like, where we park at? Like, we can't park here, though. Like, there's not parking. So,
in all honesty, I wanted the spot to park because
you should have told me, go park in Queens. Go park your shit in Queens and take your train back home, bro. Like, I'm sure there's a spot over there.
And that's what happens in the inner cities, and that's, again, like I keep beating the same dead horse. This is why people leave.
And that engagement, once you do what? It makes you want to go flatten his motherfucking tires. But you know what? You want to park here? You don't want to move it? I'm going to give you a reason not to move it now.
Yeah, it's like it makes you question every decision you made up until that point. Like, what the hell was I thinking? Purchasing a house in the Bronx. This is what people do. Like, this is crazy. This is exactly why people leave, and it makes me sad because I'm like, you guys are destroying your own communities.
Yeah, because they don't respect it, and it's really pretty much really your fault. Because until you buy a house in the Bronx from your driveway, it was your fault for doing that. And no one else has a driveway, but your ass doesn't have one. Now I have a driveway, but one that was steep that you can even park your car in anyway. So it was really your fault. Let's get back to that. But you're absolutely right. Like, again, like I tell you, it comes down to common values, and most people in the city are not going to have those common values. You make fun of a few, just like you, salt and peppered around the city, but not enough in the same neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So what you're looking for is not so much a needle in a haystack, it's just in a different place. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you and Lowe's has to really look in the future and say, hey, where are we going to plant our roots? our son is this age, and where do he really wants to really grow up through his tweens, his teen years? Is it really here? We're going to spend 15 years here, and we missed the sign of us leaving because the neighborhood's going to shit now. Because these people have been there for 30, 40 years. They're about to die.
I'm saying it's like some really nice house on the block. I'm like, it might be up there already.
But then who's going to buy that home? Someone's going to buy it to rent it. They're going to split the damn house up to 17 different apartments, and then you have a bunch of people moving in. And then your block is overpopulated over again. Right? That's where you really have to look at. You go to the burbs. The burbs aren't no better either. Yes, that's just straight too. But you may have more of a good time finding an area that fits the look and the feel you're looking for. Just saying.
Johnny, I really appreciate you allowing me to vent tonight, because it was very frustrating for me this morning as I was dropping my child off at school to witness these women acting like fools and thinking to myself, like, I can't believe this is the neighborhood that I live in. This is what people do on a Monday morning.
You were so passionate this morning when you texted me.
I was. Like,
and I was like, damn, okay, we can change the topic, not a problem. I said, you have the moment in you, that feeling, let's talk about it, and I'll let you, carry this one out, and you sure did. And, but it's like, you know what? Things like that happen. And just let people know I turned vegan. Continue.
That's for another show, Johnny.
yeah. I'm vegan now, so yeah.
We'll have to talk about that another time.
Damn, Jen took all the time tonight. Ain't that some shit regular? Yeah. But man, when you find a neighborhood, let me know. I think it's in Atlanta. Just let you know. So
we'll think about that. We'll put that one on the list too.
Oh yeah, you have to put that on the list. You have to. It's a great place. There's many things to do. Many different neighborhoods. It's really growing. The city itself is changing. It's an amazing, amazing thing. You know what I'm saying? And again, you have to look at where you and your man wants to sit down for the next 30 years, 30, 40 years. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Johnny.
It's not the Bronx. Just let you know.
Guess not. Probably not.
No, probably not. So, another hit, another work at the park. Again, thank you guys for tuning in.
Until next time, guys.
Until next time. See ya.
Bye.